What I'm going to do today is walk you through the information to help you make your choices for the 7/1 effective date when you'll be joining the PEIP program. I'm going to run through all of the information, then I'll throw it open for questions. I'll ask you to hold your questions till then. Once we get the questions done, then I'll walk you through the enrollment form, which should just take about 5 minutes. Basically, you have elected to participate in the PEIP school pool. The Public Employees Insurance Program was created by the legislature back about 25 years ago. Back about 7 years ago, we started the school pool. We are now up to around 80 schools that participate, about 20,000 members. The logic is we want to bring as many groups together as possible, so when it comes time for renewals, we're not going to look at just one group's claims information. We're going to look at the total pool, divide it out over our 20,000 members, and hopefully that takes all of the big ups and downs of renewal swings out of the equation. The school pool has had excellent success in doing that. Our actual renewal average for the last 6 years has been 1.8%, which is a fantastic figure. As the pool grows, we become larger and larger. Again, that spreads that claims amount over a very, very large base. So hopefully you don't see those swings. This is not a guarantee that all your future renewals will be 1.8%, but it shows the track record of the program has been very, very good. A couple notes just before we start. 7/1/2015 will be the effective date. PEIP does everything on a calendar year as far as all of our plan designs. So all deductibles, out-of-pocket amounts, they're all done on a calendar year basis. Because you're coming in the middle of the year, we will give you credit for any deductible and out-of-pocket expenses you've incurred in the first 6 months of 2015 on your current PEIP plan towards the PEIP deductibles and out-of-pockets. So basically, there's no penalty for you switching over mid-year. So everything you've already incurred in the first 6 months of the year will count towards the PEIP deductibles and out-of-pocket maximums. If you have prescriptions that you are using on an ongoing basis, I encourage you to get them filled in June if you can, because somebody's card will always get lost in the mail, and you don't want to be the person standing at the pharmacy on July 1st without your card trying to get a prescription filled. There are ways we can get around it and it will still work, but it's much easier if you have the option to have those prescriptions filled in June, please do so. The handouts that you gave that I set out here, there's 3 of them. There is an enrollment form that we'll talk about last. There is a primary care clinic listing for the nearby area, and there is a step-by-step instruction. We're going to start with the step-by-step instructions. It's the sheet with the 3 black bars. Front page is a very, very good primer that explains all of the choices that you'll make under the program. So if you forget anything that's said here today, this is a nice piece to refer back to. Behind the front page are the 3 plan options. First one just says Advantage Health Plan. I call that the high plan. It's the highest premium and the highest benefit level. The next page is the value option. That would be kind of the middle option of the 3. The last option is the Health HSA compatible plan. HSA means that this plan design is compatible if your district uses a health savings account strategy. You don't. You use a VIBA account strategy here. So for most of you, it's better just to cross out the HSA and just think of this as the plan with the highest deductibles and the lowest premium. So when you look at the primer sheet, step 1 says at every open enrollment, which will happen around April or May every year, you'll have an open enrollment, and the choices you make are effective July 1st. At every open enrollment, each employee decides, do I want the high plan, the value option, or the HSA compatible, high, medium, or low. Whatever choice I make, I'm locked into until the next open enrollment. If I take family coverage, my whole family will go with me into that option that I've chosen. And again, I can change next year. So choice one, high, medium, or low, how much insurance do you want to buy? Choice two is new to you. Now you get to pick the network to deliver the benefits. And again, it's an individual choice. Each employee decides, do I want Blue Cross, Health Partners, or Preferred One? People ask which one is best. What you need to look at is, where are the providers that I'm going to use? I want to make sure that they're part of the network I'm choosing. And secondly, the last choice you're going to make as a primary care clinic, I need to check and make sure that that primary care clinic is a part of the network and is in the best financial position, which we'll talk about in a second. So you want to make sure that the providers you're going to use are a part of the network you're choosing. And that's the second choice. Again, you can change it at every open enrollment. And if you take family coverage, your whole family will be using that same network. Third choice is unique to this program. The third choice says that each member of your family that's covered under the program will select a primary care clinic. All primary care clinics under the program are broken down into cost levels. So you need to make sure that the choice of the primary care clinic, again, matches within your network. And then you want to look for the best cost level. We're not talking premium costs. We're talking cost levels. When you look at the headers of each of the plan designs, they'll say cost level 1, 2, 3, or 4. That is based on the primary care clinic you choose. All primary care clinics are broken down into cost level 1, 2, 3, or 4. How that happens is once a year, the state goes out and talks to every primary care clinic, but only primary care clinics. And based on the clinic's cost schedule for procedures and the quality data that the state gathers, they put each clinic into a cost level 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1 being the lowest cost, most efficient, 4 being the highest cost. Then the plan says to you, we will incent you to use the most efficient clinics, the 1s or 2s, by giving you lower deductibles, lower co-pays, lower out-of-pockets. You can pick whatever primary care clinic you want, but if you choose the more efficient clinics, you get better benefits. The state then goes back to the clinics and says, based on the data we gathered, you clinic A came out at a cost level 3. There's another clinic 2 miles down the road that's a cost level 2. Employees would have lower deductibles, co-pays, and out-of-pockets by using that clinic. You might see patients going down the road. They give the clinic a second chance. If that clinic is willing to pull down their charge levels to get to that cost level 2, then that's a win-win situation because employees would receive better benefits by choosing them. The plan would see lower charges, so we'll have better renewals for you. Some clinics have done that and dropped down. Other clinics said, nope, our charges are right where they should be, and that's fine. Again, you as an employee, you have the choice of which primary care clinic you want. And you are only picking a primary care clinic. You're not picking hospitals, surgeons, specialists, chiropractors. You're picking solely a primary care clinic. Each member of your family could pick a different clinic. I can choose clinic A, my wife can choose clinic B, our kids could go to clinic C and D. Those clinics could even be at different cost levels. So we would have different benefit levels for different members of the family. So there's a lot of choice built into the program. The choice of the primary care clinic can also be changed during the calendar year. If I choose clinic A and 6 months later I decide I don't like them anymore, I can call the number on my ID card. As long as I call by the 15th of the month, I can change to a new clinic effective the next 1st of the month. You're guaranteed you can change at least twice during the year. Works out great if you have sons or daughters that go away to school. Your daughter goes up to UMD, you could switch from the Fairview Clinic in Andover to the St. Mary's Duluth Clinic in September when they go up to school. When they come back in June, you call the number again and say, I want to switch back to the Fairview Clinic in Andover. If your kids go out of state to school, there is a whole additional benefit level we add on, and I'll talk about that in a little while. But again, this is a primary care clinic-based program. So it is different from your current plan where you can go anywhere, anytime. Now you're saying, all of my routine or planned care is gonna funnel through that primary care clinic I've chosen. That clinic can refer me to whatever specialist I need to go to. Whenever they do that, I always stay at the cost level of my primary care clinic. So if I chose preferred one as my network, and I chose the Andover Fairview Clinic as my primary care clinic, I know on that sheet I'd be in cost level 1, which is the best place to be as far as deductibles and copays. They find something serious and they want to send me down to the Mayo in Rochester. All of my treatments at the Mayo in Rochester are at cost level 1 benefits because it's based solely on my choice of a primary care clinic. Everybody with me on that part? Okay?
What if they send you to a cardiologist specialist?
Anywhere they refer you, you stay at the cost level of your primary care clinic. So you do need to have referrals set up for any specialist care that's outside of the physical building of your primary care clinic. Kind of a nice feature is if you pick one of the large multi-specialty clinics, so they've got dermatology on the 3rd floor and oncology on the 4th floor, I can basically self-refer anywhere in that building to any of your specialists. But if I want to go to a specialist outside, I need to have my primary care clinic set up a referral for that. In the 3rd paragraph below choice number 3 or step 3, there's also additional flexibility. There's 5 types of treatment where you do not need a referral from your primary care clinic. Those would be a woman's OB/GYN care, mental health, chemical dependency, chiropractic care, and vision care for the annual vision benefit that's covered at 100%. For any of those 5 types of treatments, I can self-refer to any of the options within my network's self-referral list. So each network, Blue Cross, Health Partners, Preferred One, has a list of self-referral providers. So if my wife chose that Andover clinic, but she doesn't like the OB/GYN there, she could call Preferred One and say, what other OB/GYNs are on the self-referral list out in my area, because I'd like to go see someone else. I always warn people, the first time you use the self-referral, please call the number on your ID card just to make sure that you're understanding it and you're doing it right, so there's no surprises. So those are the choices of the 3 choices. High, medium, or low plan. And again, the prices are set on that. Then I pick my network. The choice of the network doesn't affect the premium cost. The choice of the network only affects which group of providers I'm going to go to. It doesn't affect the plan design either, with one exception. Health Partners does pay a better benefit for treatment of infertility. So if infertility is an issue, I would recommend you look at Health Partners as a possible network option. Otherwise, all 3 networks cover the diagnosis of infertility, but as far as the actual treatment level, Health Partners is the only plan that has coverage. Other than that, the benefits are basically the same across the board. Which network of providers do I want to use? When you look at the clinic listings, there's 2 features I want to point out to make sure you understand. Most of the time, a clinic shows up 3 times because it's covered under Blue Cross, Health Partners, and Preferred One. Usually it's in the same cost level under all 3, but there's a couple cases where there is a difference. In the very top 3 on the sheet, the Fairview Clinic system cut a deal with Preferred One. So if I want to use Fairview Clinics as a primary care clinic, if I look at that listing, I see under Blue Cross and Health Partners, I'm in cost level 3. But if I look at Preferred One, the 3rd one down, I'm in cost level 1. Much lower deductible, much lower out-of-pockets, a very, very much better benefit schedule. So if I'm using the Fairview Clinics, I'm going to think long and hard about using Preferred One as the network choice because I'll get better benefits. People say, well, what is the difference between Blue Cross and Preferred One? It's a different claims paying network. The overall network of doctors is different, but basically if I'm using the Fairview Clinic, whether I'm using under Blue Cross or Preferred One, the care I receive there shouldn't change. So, you can make your decision based on that. If you look down to the third set of clinics, the Alina Medical Clinic in Blaine, Alina cut a deal with Blue Cross, where they are a cost level 2 under Blue Cross, but they're a cost level 3 under Health Partners or Preferred One. So if I use an Alina clinic, I'm gonna think long and hard about using Blue Cross as my network, again, because I'd receive better benefits. These are just local clinics. The top sheet with the 3 bars across does have the Innovo MN website, which has the complete statewide clinic directory. And again, it's only gonna show primary care clinics because that is all you're picking. You're not picking hospital surgeons, specialists, or chiropractors. Anywhere my primary care clinic refers me, I stay in the cost level of my primary care clinic. So I'm going to walk through the benefits quickly to make sure you understand that, and we'll throw it open to questions. The first plan design is the high plan, the Advantage 2015-16. Again, if I chose the Fairview Clinic and I'm in cost level 1, under Preferred One, I would use that first column. If my wife happened to, we chose Preferred One, but she wants to go to Park Nicollet, she'd be in cost level 2. So she would have a different benefit set from me. The only thing that's mixed when you have multiple cost levels within a family is the family deductible maximum and the out-of-pocket family maximum. And that would revert to the higher of the cost levels. So that scenario that I just said, if I'm in cost level 1 and the 5 other members of my family are in cost level 2, I look at letter B, I would have a $75 deductible. My wife and all our kids would have a $180 deductible, but the family would be capped at the cost level 2 deductible maximum, which is $360. So again, my benefits are column 1. Each person's benefits are based on their primary care clinic. So preventive care up on top is covered at 100%. Again, going through the primary care clinic that I've selected. Then look down to letter M as in Mary. All prescriptions under the program are going to be covered through Navitus. Navitus is the PBM, Pharmacy Benefit Manager. And it's on the front page. Navitus has a formulary, fancy word for which drugs are covered. It says they break out drugs into one of 3 tiers. Tier 1 is going to be generics and some very, very common name brands. Tier 2 is going to be the majority of other name brand drugs, with Tier 3 being some of the more expensive name brand drugs. And the copay would be either $12, $18, or $38 for a 30-day supply, depending on which tier the drug was in. Now, there's also a mail order option where I can get a 3-month supply for 2 copays, so I can save a copay per quarter by using the mail order option, and the prescriptions are mailed right to my home. So if you're on a maintenance dosage of heart medications, high blood pressure medications, things like that, mail order option will be something to look at. And you'll get that information from Navitus. You'll get 2 ID cards, one from Blue Cross, Health Partners, or Preferred One, your medical plan, and then another card from Navitus. So when you get a plastic card in the mail from Navitus, it's not a Capital One deal. Don't tear it up, throw it away. That's your prescription card. If those $12, $18, or $38 copays would ever accumulate in a calendar year to $800, that is my prescription drug out-of-pocket maximum for an individual for a calendar year. The family is capped at $1,600 for the whole family for prescription drugs. So it would take a lot to hit those 800 or 1,600. A lot of times 12, 18, or 38, but it is possible. So that is a protection for you. Most of the other boxes, it does say deductible applies, not all. But again, deductible does not apply to prescriptions under the high and value plan. But most do have a deductible, and that would be letter B. So again, I'm in cost level 1, so I have a $75 deductible. So on July 1st, if I go into my clinic for an office visit, and the charge is $150, The first $75 I have to pay to cover my deductible. I pay that, now my deductible is done for the calendar year. I only do it once. Now I look down at an office visit, and it says I have to pay $18. So I'd have to pay $18 for that office visit, and for any other office visits for the rest of the calendar year, I'll be paying $18 a pop. My wife would have to pay the first $180 as her deductible, and then for the rest of the year, she'd be paying $23 for an office visit. Say in August, I tear up my knee, I have to go in for arthroscopic surgery, that bill comes in usually around $10,000. If I look at letter G for an outpatient surgery, of that $10,000, my responsibility is $60. My wife under her plan would have to pay $120. If October I'm hospitalized for 5 days and the bill is $50,000, I look at letter F, an inpatient hospital copay. Of that $50,000, I'm responsible for $100. My wife under cost level 2 would be responsible for $200. This is a very rich, very high benefit level. Now, when that deductible of $75 plus those various medical copays, if that ever accumulated in a calendar year to letter O, $1,100 is my medical out-of-pocket maximum for a calendar year. If I hit that, if I hit $1,101, covered at 100% for the remainder of the calendar year for everything medical. Again, prescription drug had a separate $800 maximum. The out-of-pocket maximums are a good benefit, but to be truthful, people rarely hit it. You know, when that $100,000 hospital bill, my responsibility was $100, it's pretty hard to come up with $1,100 of out-of-pocket expenses. It can happen, you know, maybe 3-5% of the people would hit it in a calendar year, but I encourage people, don't look at out-of-pocket maximums as the best way to judge a plan. What you want to look at is what you have to pay out of your pocket for monthly premium and what the deductibles are, because that's the first thing that everybody deals with. Those are the two best ways to judge a plan. The out-of-pocket maximum is something also to consider, but it's kind of a secondary piece. That's the high plan. In the verbiage down below the box, it does mention if you have a residence out of state, college student living in Illinois at the University of Illinois in Champaign, or an early retiree living down in Arizona. Routine care out of state for people that have an out of state residence. There's a $350 deductible. Then there's 70% coverage. You pay 30% of the cost, plan pays 70%, up to the out-of-pocket maximum, again, of whichever plan you've chosen. So that's for routine out-of-network care if you have an out-of-network residence. For you that live in network, all urgent care and emergencies are always covered as if you had done it through the network. So if you have a heart attack, it doesn't matter whether it's in Cambridge, St. Paul, Chicago, or Cancun, it's treated right as if it was done through the network. Okay, that's the high plan. The next option is the value option. Everything works the same way in the value option, but now the premium is lower because there's higher deductibles and higher out-of-pocket expenses. So you're taking on more claims of risk, but you're going to guarantee be paying a lower monthly premium. How much insurance do you want to buy? If you say, my family's pretty healthy, and we only go to the doctor a couple times a year, I don't need to buy that very rich plan. This value option might be a better deal for me. So what was a $75 deductible for me in cost level 1 is now a $400 deductible. The prescription drug out-of-pocket maximum was $800, it's now $1,000. The medical out-of-pocket maximum was $1,100, it's now $2,000. So I've got a little bit more risk if I use the plan, but I know those monthly premiums are lower. That's what you want to judge, how many times you think you would use the plan in the coming year. And again, in every open enrollment in April or May, you can make changes in your choice of high, medium, or low. The third option is the HSA compatible plan. Under the HSA compatible plan, first, your district does not use an HSA contribution strategy. They use a VIVA plan, so whenever you look at the HSA plan, it's better in your mind just to kind of cross it out or literally cross it out. It's a higher deductible plan, which has lower premium. Under the HSA plan, because this meets some special IRS rules for setting up health savings accounts, if you wanted to do that, a couple things are different that I want to point out. First is when you look at prescription drugs, letter M, there it says the annual deductible now applies to prescriptions. It did not apply under the higher value option, does apply here. So if I pick this plan and July 1st I go in for a prescription, I'm going to pay the whole cost of that prescription till I hit $1,500 of expenses, my calendar year deductible. Once I hit 1,501, now for the rest of the year, I would pay $25, $40, or $65 for prescriptions, depending on whether it was tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. So the deductible applies as a difference under the health savings account. The other thing that's different is box B. Under box B, the top half is if you take single coverage. So if I take single coverage under cost level 1, I have a $1,500 deductible. Once I hit 1,501, now I'm paying co-pays or co-insurance. Co-pays and co-insurance are the same thing. Co-pay is a specified dollar amount that's your responsibility. Co-insurance is a specified percentage of the bill that's your responsibility. Both of them accumulate with the deductible to reach that out-of-pocket maximum where you'd have 100% coverage. So if I take single coverage under cost level 1, $1,500 deductible, then the co-pays or co-insurance would kick in. My annual out-of-pocket maximum is $4,000. If I take family coverage, it used to be just double the single, $3,000 family deductible, but there is an embedded, means kind of stamped on the individual, deductible maximum of $2,600 for a member. So if one member of the family gets very sick, and they hit $2,600 of expense, now they jump into benefits and are paying co-pays or co-insurance. The rest of that family still has $400 of deductible they need to satisfy before the whole family is now in co-pays and co-insurance. The family out-of-pocket maximum is a flat bulk $8,000. There's no individual $4,000 cap when you take family coverage. It's just $8,000 is the family maximum out-of-pocket. But again, it's tough to reach that $8,000 because you're capped at what you're paying for hospitalization, surgeries, things like that. That is a run-through of all of the benefits and the networks and the rules. I'll throw it open for questions now, and then we'll talk about the enrollment form.
Just one quick second, just to make sure everybody knows. I am recording this, so if it changes a question you would ask, you can do that after the recording. It hasn't ever in the past. I just want to make sure you know that your questions are being recorded. So.
Never thought of that. A good thing to mention. Yes.
Okay, I just have a quick question. If, you know, when you call to make an appointment and they say there's nothing available at this clinic, the Alina Coon Rapids, but we can get you in at Alina Ramsey, we can't do that anymore.
No. If the clinic says, we can't get you in here, we're willing to refer you over to Alina Ramsey, you can go to that other clinic. As long as they set up a referral to any other spot, you go and you're still in the cost level of that clinic. But again, they have to set up the referral.
That day though, like a same day appointment.
If the clinic's willing to give you a referral to go anywhere else, you can go.
So is it a verbal referral or?
But they have to put it into the system.
Okay.
Joe Smith was then referred to Alina Ramsey. You know, they know how to set up referrals in the system, but again, they need to set it up. And then if, say you had back problems for years, and you happen to have a specialist appointment set up for July 15th, PEIP doesn't know whatever was done in the past, so you need to make sure you call your primary care clinic and say, you know, that back specialist you sent me to, please make sure that you put that referral into the system so it shows that you were referred for that appointment. The primary care clinic can set up a referral for a number of visits or a time frame of visits for whatever, you know, the special circumstances would be.
This question might be more for Ryan, but the numbers that you sent out in your email, is that with any support from the district, or is that just our costs?
That's when we send it out so it affects everybody. Every contract's different. So in that case, that's the cost that everybody starts their basis off, and then you subtract any district contribution from it.
And I suppose we don't know that until negotiations.
During negotiations, we move forward until we settle a new contract. So right now, the plan going forward is $510 for teachers, $510 for single, $1,200 for family. And we continue to operate under that until the next contract is settled or ratified.
Per month.
Per month, yep.
Family is 1,200 and
Yep.
510 is for teachers.
So you
or
take
Single.
premium minus those amounts, that would be what you pay per month. It's probably actually cut in half into 2 checks.
Yep.
Could you say that again, please?
Yep, sorry, who was I making eye contact with? Okay, it's $510 for single coverage per month,
This is the district contribution.
Yep. $1,200 for family.
So from the PEIP premiums, you would subtract that amount to find out what you would pay per month.
If the highest deductible is, or I mean, I just have to.
Yep, go ahead.
Highest premium one, the Advantage, if it costs $18.50 a month, I would subtract $1,200 for that. And the remainder is what I pay.
The remainder is what will be taken out of your check. Yep.
Per month.
And that's the thing that can change after negotiation.
Yes. And that would change anytime, not just now, it's every time we do a contract.
Do we still have a flex account for medical? Do we, I mean?
Yeah,
still-
that one is into a tougher situation that I don't want to, right now, there's some verbiage in the emails from the district that would sense, it creates a tough situation for us. And it could be referencing some VIVA language that says district-sponsored health insurance. And here's the situation that we've been discussing. If the district is saying this is not a district-sponsored health insurance plan, then even though we want it to be there, then you don't get the VIVA dollars, but you'd get the $1,500 check at the end of the year. Okay? If they're saying it's a district-sponsored health insurance plan, then you get the VIVA, but you don't get the $1,500 at the end. So it's a one or the other. Our goal is really it's a strong incentive for the district to keep the VIVA in place. And that's where negotiators have been going back and forth and talking. So I don't have a firm answer for you on it. It's just, we're really hoping that the district will continue its practices until we've settled the contract. And that is that it would be there. But we've been going back and forth on it a little bit, and we're trying our best to get that out to you so we know what to expect come July. But I think the district has been hustling to try to get these ducks in a row to be able to get us in a good spot. And I don't know, is that about what they said at the first meeting? I'm hoping that's,
Yes.
okay.
I mean, at the first meeting, the only other thing that was mentioned is, under your current contract, it said the VIVA is applicable to any plan with a deductible. All 3 PEIP plans have deductibles, so that is the best case scenario if it worked out that way.
Yep.
What they mentioned.
Yes, you can make an argument where in our old copay plan, there isn't a deductible. But that's where in negotiations, it's going to be a little, in this plan, there is a clear deductible on the highest Advantage plan. So if you took the copay plan and you move to that high Advantage now, you may still be able to qualify for the VIVA where you weren't able to before. But that'll come up real quick. We're really hoping to get those questions answered within the next month.
And I don't want to get us too off topic but one retiree that I was talking to was concerned about money that was saved up. If that went away, they would still have access to those.
Yep, that's their legal dollars.
You
Yep.
own the VIVA
Yep.
account. Whether future contributions come in is the question that's being made.
Would you,
Yes.
go ahead. I was gonna say, would you repeat, you started out saying we would get credit for 6, will you explain that again?
Because you're coming into this plan on July 1st, PEIP does everything on a 12-month calendar year basis. all your deductibles and out-of-pockets. You're coming in mid-year. So we're saying, we're gonna give you credit for everything you incurred for the first 6 months of 2015 under your current plan towards the PEIP figures, even though you incurred under the other plan. So there's no penalty to you for coming in halfway through the year. Then January 1st, 2016, everything starts over. All PEIP calendar years for deductibles, out-of-pockets, January 1 to 12/31. Yes,
And my question kind of goes with that. Who's responsible for getting that information then to PEIP?
good question. What we will do is, we will ask Preferred One to run a report to show every member's deductible and out-of-pocket satisfaction. But they don't want to do that probably till August 1st because they want everything to go through the system, so they're only doing it once. So around August 1st, they'll actually run that report. Then they'll send it to PEIP, and PEIP will send it to our 3 networks, Preferred One being one of them. It'll take them a couple weeks to actually then apply it to the system. So there's gonna be a 30 to 60 day time frame where that credit probably won't show up, but it will come there eventually. Yes,
Would you be able to change any of the plan level or network or primary clinic if there's a life-changing event?
if there is a qualifying event, you can change your options. If, you know, death, divorce, adoption, but under those scenarios, yes, you can change your
If your
choices.
spouse goes on social security, it's not life-changing. Because they need to select a supplement.
Don't think that is, but that's one we can check on whether, because nothing is affecting you and your choices, but we can check on that. If you wanna give me your email
But what
address.
it would affect, it would be if you were on a family plan or a single plan.
Yeah, you can always drop from family to single. That won't be an issue. But whether you could say, well, now because my spouse is off the plan, I wanna switch from the value plan to the advantage plan. That's the one I'm not sure of, and I'd have to get back to you with an answer on.
I need that answer.
Okay?
Thank you.
Make sure you give me your email before you leave.
Since you have work on a calendar, is it something where we will continue in April or May doing this, or will we start it?
Yes, the renewal for premiums happens every July 1st. So we will have an open enrollment for your decisions because there's a new premium figure that's gonna happen every July 1st. So in April or May, there'll be an open enrollment every year. Plan designs are always on a calendar year basis. So you are actually making a change or possible change mid-year, which actually might be a benefit to you because you kind of know how the claims year is running for you as far as the choices you're gonna make for the second half of the year. Anything else on the plan designs? Okay, if you want to take out the enrollment form, we'll run through that quickly. And then we'll send you on your way. Top section, the only thing you need to fill in is over on the right-hand side. Write July 1st, 2015 as the effective date. July 1st, 2015 will be the effective date. The next section, the employee information, basic name, address, social security, all the stuff you always have to fill out. One thing I want to mention, the 2 bottom lines in the employee information section, those only apply if on July 1st, we will be double covered under this plan and a spouse's another plan. So if you're just going to be covered under one plan July 1st, leave those final 2 lines in that section blank. But if you're covered here and you're also covered under your spouse's plan, we need that information there to coordinate benefits. But otherwise, if you're just gonna be covered under the one plan, leave those bottom 2 lines of the employee information section blank. Waiver section is only if you do not want coverage. If you do not want coverage, check one of the 2 boxes, sign and date, get the form into Wendy, and you're done. Assuming you do want coverage, leave the waiver section blank. Or if you happen to fill in something, cross it all off. Question came up if there's a husband and a wife and whether you need to fill out 2 forms. The answer is yes. One person would fill out the form and waive coverage, and I just write in covered under spouses PEIP plan. The other person would take family coverage, because the district will need to be able to track for Affordable Care Act purposes, waivers versus people that elect coverage. Now you're gonna make your choices under coverage options. Left-hand side, you're gonna pick your network. Blue Cross, Health Partners, Preferred One. Middle box, you're gonna choose the plan, high, medium, or low. Advantage, value, HSA compatible. The right-hand side, you're gonna choose whether you have single or family coverage. In this case, if you put employee plus one, that's the same as family. Now go down to the employee dependents box. Again, fill in you, the employee information first. And most importantly, if there's gonna be a mistake made, here's where you'll make it. On the right-hand side says name of primary care clinic and PCC number. So you'll write the name of the primary care clinic for each member of your family that's covered. Then you look on the sheet of the clinics. Column 5 has a PCC number. And again, there's a different PCC number for each of the clinics. So Fairview Andover Clinic has 3 PCC numbers, depending on whether I choose Health Partners, Blue Cross, or Preferred One. So you need to match up with the network in your clinic. So if I chose Preferred One, Fairview Clinic Andover, I go down to the third one, and I'd write FP204 on my primary care clinic number, along with the name of the clinic. Again, each family member could have a different one, or if we're all going to the same place, just put ditto marks under each one for each family member. Sign and date. Wendy wants all of the forms in by Wednesday at noon, and she wants to have hard copy, not emailed versions of it. Any questions?
I have a question. You said that if you have a child going to college somewhere else, they could pick their own clinic. Would it have, if like we choose Health Partners, would they have to go to a Health Partners clinic?
If you have students living out of state, they're not gonna pick a network down there. Our network extends in maybe 30 miles outside of the state boundaries.
What about in-state though?
In-state, yes. So if your son goes up to UMD, you could pick St. Mary's Duluth Clinic for them, or switch back and forth to the local clinic.
But I'm just asking if it have to, you have to
Yes,
stay with
they
the Health
have to
Partners?
stay within the same network. Yes.
Okay, that was my.
Yes. You're sticking, all family members are gonna be within the same plan design, high, medium, and low, and they'll all be within the same network, Blue Cross, Health Partners, Preferred One.
Where do we get information on the out of state? If I have a son who will be living out of state, then is that the same? He's not a college student.
Yeah, as long as he's under 26, he can still be covered under the plan. And again, you'd pick a local primary care clinic just for whenever he was here, but then all of his care outside of the state would be at that deductible 70/30, a separate benefit set for that treatment routine care out of state. Anytime it's an urgent care or emergency, that's covered right as if you'd gone through the regular network. So if you have a son or daughter living out of state, on that line for the dependent, I'd write in parentheses what their address is for out of state, so they know that that separate benefit level would also be attached. Yes?
I just wanna make sure I'm understanding this. So any specialists we're currently seeing, we need to have a new referral for them, except for OB/GYN.
Chiropractic, mental health, and chemical dependency. Those 5 you can self-refer within the self-referral list of whichever network you've chosen. So if you want to see a different chiropractor, call the number on your ID card and say, which of the chiropractors in Andover can I see? And they'll say, A, B, C, and D are all part of our network, and you can just self-refer to use them.
Tell me more about the eye checkups then.
The eye exam, there's, again, a self-referral list of eye doctors, the vision care, all of the basic clinics that you can go to under each one of the networks. That's just for the basic eye exam that's covered at 100% under preventive. If you're going in for eye problems, you know, then it's a primary care clinic and referral situation.
How about if I have a primary clinic, they refer me to a specialist and then the specialist wants me to go,
Good question.
does that have to go back to the primary clinic?
You'd have to call back to the clinic to say, they want to send me another step down to a different specialist. You know, the primary care clinic has to be the repository of everything as to where you're going. They have to know everything. So a self-referral specialist or a specialist in general cannot refer you on without the primary care clinic setting up the referral. I mean, it sounds different because you haven't had to do it, but it really works out pretty smoothly. I mean, again, remember there's 120,000 state members on this plan, 20,000 PEIP members all using this Advantage program. So care providers, you know, can figure it out pretty easily how things work out. It's not that difficult, but keep in mind, everything funnels through my primary care clinic. They can set up the referrals, except for urgent care and emergencies where you can go anywhere. If there's any other of those juicier questions that Ryan said you didn't want to put on the video, I'll stick around and you can ask those later. But otherwise, I appreciate you coming. Wendy needs form. Wednesday. Thanks.